The disaster looked like any other silly Gumball episode. Cheesy jokes, cartoon chaos, that classic Watterson energy. But then everything glitched. Time froze. Reality rewrote itself. And out of nowhere, Rob, the glitch from the void, stepped back in. Not to cause mischief, but to erase the entire show. This is the episode that almost ended Gumball. The episode opens with the Wattersons happily singing along in their car during what seems like a completely ordinary road trip. The sun beams a little too perfectly through the windshield. The trees sway in a strangely synchronized rhythm. Even the clouds seem too round, almost like they were copy-pasted into the sky. Richard hums dramatically off-key, slapping the steering wheel like it's a drum set. Darwin claps along with a big goofy grin, and Gumball keeps interrupting the lyrics with ridiculous punchlines. Nicole, as usual, stays laser focused on the road because someone has to. At first glance, it all looks harmless, but there's a problem. It's flawless. And in Gumball, perfection is the loudest warning sign you can get. That's when it happens. Without so much as a sound effect, the car freezes. Darwin's eyes lock in a creepy, unnatural smile. The entire screen stutters. We see colors bleed off the edges, like someone's dragging the animation timeline too far. Then the camera slowly pans. Standing in the far distance, frozen but watching, is Rob. Expression blank, hands clenched, remote in hand, not blinking, not smiling, just waiting. He was supposed to be gone, forgotten, just another discarded character in a show known for throwing logic out the window. But this time, he's not in the background. He's not glitched out or falling through broken pixels. He's standing upright, focused, alive in a way that's unsettling, and in his hand, a remote. But not a TV remote. This thing looks like it was built from leftover animation tools. Buttons made of static, a timeline scrub bar running down the side. One click, that's all it takes. Darwin, who was smiling seconds ago, blinks, and now he doesn't recognize Gumball at all. His own brother erased from memory. Gumball begs him to remember, but Darwin just tilts his head, confused. Another click, Penny fades, not just from sight, but from thought. Gumball's heart sinks as her name disappears from his mind like evaporating ink. Nicole and Richard suddenly turn cold, treating each other like distant neighbors. It's the kind of isolation that goes beyond being alone. He's trapped in a world that's been hollowed out, stripped of logic, emotion, and memory. And then, just when it couldn't get more surreal, even the narrator's voice starts to falter, hesitating mid-line, like he's unsure of what's coming next. At first glance, you'd assume Rob is the clear-cut villain in this story. He's the one glitching out reality, pressing buttons, erasing people from existence. How could he not be the bad guy? But here's the unsettling truth. Rob isn't trying to destroy Gumball, he's trying to replace him. And not out of hatred, not out of evil, but out of pure, bone-deep exhaustion. Rob is a walking error code, a character dumped in the animation equivalent of the recycle bin. He was never meant to matter, just a one-off joke, background noise. But unlike most forgotten characters, he remembers everything. Every time he was cut from a scene, every time his existence was ignored or overwritten. He remembers watching other characters grow, change, and become loved, while he stayed broken and alone in the void. He wasn't supposed to come back, and now that he has, he refuses to return to the shadows. The remote isn't a weapon to him, it's a lifeline, his way back into the story. He doesn't want to end Gumball's world, he wants to overwrite it, not to be the villain, but to finally be the main character in a show that never gave him the chance. Every single click of Rob's remote sends another ripple through the very fabric of the show. At first, it's subtle. Characters forget their lines, walk the wrong way off screen, or blink with slightly mismatched eyes. But quickly, the chaos escalates. Characters begin to disappear mid-scene. Gumball watches in horror as scenes start replaying, but never the same way twice. Sometimes he's wearing different clothes. Sometimes the dialogue has changed. In one moment, Nicole hugs him. Rewind. She slaps him. Rewind again, and now she's gone. Even Gumball's voice can't keep up. Words cut out halfway through. His sentences stutter, distort, and at times, his mouth keeps moving long after the sound has stopped. The backgrounds begin to collapse into pure static, like corrupted VHS tapes. At one point, Anais is mid-sentence, and then she's just not there anymore. No scream, no effect, just gone. The animation itself breaks. Gumball moves across the screen, but copies of his own body trail behind him. Ghostly duplicates frozen in time, slowly falling apart. It's no longer a cartoon. It's a dying system. And at the center of it, Gumball's cracking right along with it. Finally, almost by accident, the remote slips from Rob's trembling hands. It clatters against the fragmented floor of the void, sliding in slow motion through mid-air. For a split second, time seems to hold its breath. Gumball dives forward and grabs it, and just like that, he holds the power to reset everything. He could fix Elmore, he could bring back Aeneas, he could undo the erasures, patch the timeline, and pretend none of this ever happened. And you expect him to do just that, because that's what heroes do, right? But Gumball hesitates. He looks at the remote, then at Rob, glitching, fractured, eyes heavy with pain, and instead of pressing a button, Gumball does something unthinkable. He jumps into the void, he lets go of the fix, and he dives after the very person who tried to erase him, because in that moment he gets it. Rob isn't evil, he's a shadow, a broken mirror image of who Gumball could have become if nobody had ever loved him, guided him, or even noticed he was there. And Gumball doesn't fight him, he doesn't try to win. Instead, he reaches out, not to stop him, but to remind him that he's real, that he matters, that he hasn't been forgotten. Inside the void, nothing follows the laws of physics or of storytelling. There's no gravity, no music, not even silence, just the absence of everything. It's like falling through the space between frames, where time stretches, bends, and forgets which direction it's supposed to move. Around Gumball float the shattered remains of past episodes, bits of broken sets, distorted audio clips, frozen expressions from scenes that no longer exist, a sliver of Nicole's voice saying, "I'm proud of," before cutting to static. Everywhere he turns, memory and reality blend into something unrecognizable. He finally spots Rob flickering like a dying light bulb, each pixel detaching from his form like sand being blown away. Rob doesn't scream. He just looks at Gumball with fear, regret, maybe even peace, before beginning to vanish completely. But then, a sudden jolt. Everything rewinds hard and fast, like tape being yanked backward. And they're back in the car. The road trip song is playing. Richard is laughing. The sun is bright again, but something's off. The smiles look pasted on. The jokes come too quickly, too clean. Everyone's performing, but it's empty, mechanical. And Gumball, he just sits there, quiet, still, because he remembers everything, even if no one else does. The episode ends with no answers, no epic fight, no resolution, no music swell, just silence. Because sometimes the scariest thing isn't losing control, it's realizing you never had it in the first place. Once you've seen behind the curtain, once you realize you're just a character in someone else's story, can you ever go back to pretending it's all real? Gumball did, but you as a viewer, you remember. So yeah, Gumball barely made it out of this one. Want to see more episodes that push the show to the edge? Drop your ideas in the comments and I might cover them next. And hey, don't glitch into the void. Hit subscribe. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.